The black emptiness of space stretched in all directions as the Kalrathi fleet drifted without power. Commander Vexnell stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the damage reports come in one after another. His 4 eyes scanned the screens, but nothing showed any good news. 3 days had passed since the raiders attacked them near the edge of known space, and every hour made their situation worse. The attack had been sudden and brutal, and now they were paying the price for traveling through this remote sector. Vexnell clicked his mandibles together in frustration as another alert flashed on his console. The life support systems were failing on the civilian transport, and the reactor core temperature kept rising on the escort frigate. His crew had worked without rest to keep the ships running, but they were losing the battle against time and failing systems. 400 lives depended on him making the right choices, and the weight of that responsibility pressed down on his shoulders like a physical force. The tactical officer looked up from her station with tired eyes. Her voice came out barely above a whisper when she spoke. Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12 were still venting atmosphere into space, and the engineering teams could not reach some of the damaged sections. The shield generators had burned out during the fight, and weapon systems were completely offline. Even if help came, they had no way to defend themselves against another attack. Vexnell moved to the communication station and checked the distress beacon status. The automated signal broadcast continuously on all known frequencies, but this region of space saw almost no traffic. Trade routes avoided this area because of the raiders, and most ships took longer but safer paths through mapped territory. The diplomatic mission had chosen this route to save time, and now that decision looked like a fatal mistake. How long before life support fails completely? Vexnell asked his engineering chief. The response made his heart sink. 16 hours at most, and possibly less if the backup systems continued to degrade. 16 hours to live unless a miracle happened. He looked at the roster of crew and passengers on his datapad. 30 juveniles traveled with their families to the new colony world. They had been excited about starting new lives, and now they might die in the cold darkness of space. Vexnell refused to accept defeat. He ordered the crew to continue broadcasting and to prepare the emergency evacuation pods. The pods could keep people alive for a few days, but then what? They would just die slower in smaller containers drifting through space. Still, it was better than doing nothing. He had to give his people every possible chance at survival. The communications officer suddenly sat up straight, and her antennae shot upright in surprise. "Commander, I am detecting a ship signature," she called out. The vessel configuration did not match anything in their database, and it was moving toward them at high velocity. Vexnell felt ice form in his blood. Were the raiders coming back to finish what they started? His damaged ships had no way to fight back or run away. "Raise what shields we have left," he ordered, even though he knew it would not matter. The failing generators could barely create a protective field strong enough to stop debris. Then the communications officer spoke again with confusion in her voice. "Sir, they are hailing us with audio and visual transmission." Raiders did not usually bother with conversation before attacking salvage targets. The view screen flickered to life, and Vexnell found himself staring at an alien face he had only seen in intelligence briefings. A human stood before him wearing a crisp uniform of deep blue and silver. She had short dark hair and sharp features, and her eyes held an intensity that caught him off guard. The human species was new to the galactic community, and their territory lay weeks away from this sector. What was one of their warships doing this far from home? "This is Commander Lisa Hayes of the UNS Valiant," the human said. Her voice came through clear and steady without any hesitation. "We received your distress call and are responding. What is your current situation, and do you require assistance?" Vexnell stared at the screen for several seconds, unable to form words. Hope was a dangerous thing when you had given up on it. "This is Commander Vexnell of the Kalrathi diplomatic fleet," he finally managed to say. "We were attacked by raiders 3 standard days ago and suffered extensive damage. Multiple systems are failing across our ships. Life support will collapse within 16 hours. We have 400 souls aboard, including 30 juveniles." His voice cracked slightly on the last words despite his attempt to maintain composure. The human commander's expression changed in a way that Vexnell recognized despite the differences between their species. Concern showed in her eyes along with determination. Her next words seemed almost casual despite the gravity of the situation. "Understood, Commander Vexnell," she said. "We are 40 minutes out at our current speed. Hold your position and maintain life support as best you can. We are coming to get you and your people." The transmission ended and Vexnall stood motionless on his bridge. His crew looked at him with expressions that mixed hope with disbelief. The tactical officer spoke first. "Commander, can we trust them? Humans are newcomers and we know little about their intentions. What if this is a trick?" Vexnall considered the question carefully. What choice did they have? Without help, they would all be dead in 16 hours. Besides, something in the human commander's voice and expression told him she meant what she said. He had spent decades in diplomatic service reading the intentions of different species. That human meant to help them whether it benefited her or not. Such behavior seemed almost irrational, but Vexnall felt grateful for it. He ordered his crew to prepare to receive the human ship and to compile damage reports for their engineering teams. The next 40 minutes passed with agonizing slowness. Every minute brought new system failures and new alerts. The reactor on the frigate came dangerously close to breach before the crew managed to reroute coolant through damaged lines. The medical bay filled with injured crew members as more sections lost atmosphere. Through it all, Vexnall kept his composure and directed his people with steady commands. Then the sensors showed the human warship dropping out of faster-than-light travel. The vessel was smaller than his flagship, but it radiated power. The hull gleamed with fresh paint and the weapons arrays looked state-of-the-art. This was a ship built for war but coming in peace. Vexnall allowed himself to hope that perhaps they would survive this after all. Captain Jack Morrison stood in the command center of the UNS Valiant and studied the damaged alien vessels on his main display. His ship had been on a deep space patrol mission, charting new navigation routes through this frontier region when the distress signal came through. The decision to respond had taken less than 5 seconds. People needed help and the Valiant would provide it. That was the simple equation that governed his choices. Lieutenant Kyle Bennett called out from the tactical station with his status report. 5 vessels total, sir, he said. 1 frigate-class ship and 3 medium transports and what appears to be their command flagship. All ships show extensive damage with multiple hull breaches. Power systems are failing across their fleet. I am reading approximately 400 life signs, but their life support will collapse within 12 hours at current rate of degradation. Morrison nodded and processed the information. 12 hours gave them time, but not much room for error. He turned to his communications officer. Commander Hayes opened a channel to their flagship. Lisa Hayes worked her console with practiced efficiency, and the Calrathi commander appeared on screen. The alien looked exhausted with pale blue-tinged skin and eyes that showed the strain of command during crisis. Commander Vexnall Morrison said, "We are moving into position now to render assistance. Do you have engineering personnel available to work with my teams?" The alien commander nodded slowly. "Yes, Captain Morrison, though many of our engineers suffered injuries in the attack. Some are still receiving medical treatment." Morrison made a quick decision. "Good, we will send over damage control teams along with medical staff," he said. "My chief engineer is Lieutenant Sam Parker, and he will coordinate repair efforts with your people. I am also sending Dr. Kate Sullivan with medical supplies and equipment." The Calrathi commander's mandibles moved rapidly in what the cultural database suggested meant surprise or confusion. "Captain Morrison, we do not have the resources to compensate you for this level of assistance," Vexnall said. "Our communication systems are damaged and we cannot even contact our government to arrange payment." The idea seemed to cause the alien visible distress. Morrison smiled and kept his voice calm and friendly. "Commander, where I come from, we do not send bills to people when they need help," he said. "We will figure out the details and paperwork later. Right now we focus on keeping your people alive and getting your ships operational. That is what matters." He watched the alien commander process this information and saw something like relief wash over the tired features. Valiant moved into position beside the damaged fleet with precision that came from thousands of hours of training. Docking tubes extended from the human warship and locked onto access ports on the alien vessels. Magnetic seals engaged with solid clanks that resonated through both ships. Within minutes, human crew members flowed into the Calrathi ships carrying equipment and supplies. Morrison watched the organized deployment from his command chair. His crew knew their jobs and performed them without needing constant direction. That was the mark of good training and good people. He felt pride watching them work. Lieutenant Sam Parker's voice came through the communication system. "Captain, this is Parker reporting from the Calrathi flagship. The damage here is worse than scans indicated, but we can handle it. The biggest problem is their reactor. The cooling system took direct hits during the attack. If we cannot stabilize it within 4 hours, we are looking at a core breach that will destroy this ship. Morrison considered the situation. What do you need, Parker? He asked. Permission to cannibalize parts from our own backup systems, Sir Parker replied. I also need every welding unit we have, and at least 6 people who can work in high radiation environments. The reactor shielding has gaps. Morrison did not hesitate. You have permission to take whatever parts you need, he said. Do what needs to be done to save that ship. Throughout the 5 alien vessels, humans worked alongside Calrathi crews. The language barriers proved less difficult than expected, because emergency repairs spoke a universal language. Pointing and hand gestures and the occasional frustrated grunt communicated more effectively than words. In the medical bay of the largest transport, Dr. Kate Sullivan directed her team as they treated wounded aliens. The Calrathi physiology differed from human biology, but the basics remained similar enough. Burns needed cleaning and treatment. Broken bones needed stabilizing and setting. Trauma required immediate intervention to prevent shock. Kate worked with quick, efficient movements while explaining procedures to her assistants. You're going to be fine, she told a young Calrathi female while sealing a deep gash across the alien's shoulder. The synthetic skin will bond with your tissue and hold until your natural regeneration completes the healing. The injured Calrathi looked up at Kate with large eyes that showed wonder. You are very kind, she said in halting but understandable common speech. I heard that humans were aggressive warriors who fought constantly. Kate smiled while preparing another treatment. We can be warriors when necessary, she replied. But we are also healers and helpers and friends if people let us be. The galaxy is big enough for us to be many things. Down in the reactor chamber, Sam Parker and his team worked in sweltering heat that made their uniforms stick to their skin. The radiation levels were higher than regulations allowed, but sometimes regulations had to bend during emergencies. Calrathi engineers worked beside the humans without hesitation. Hand me that plasma coupler, Sam called out, and a Calrathi engineer passed the tool without missing a beat. Together they bypassed the damaged cooling lines and rerouted power through secondary systems that were never designed for this load. Try it now, Sam shouted over the noise of straining equipment. The reactor hummed and the sound changed from a dangerous whine to a steady purr. Temperature readings began dropping back into safe ranges. The Calrathi engineer beside Sam made a sound that might have been laughter. You humans are insane, he said. That repair should not have worked according to any engineering principles I know. Sam grinned and wiped sweat from his face. We specialize in solutions that should not work, he replied. Now let us tackle that life support system before it gives up completely. Back on the bridge of the Valiant, Morrison received regular status updates. Life support was stabilizing across the fleet. Shield generators were coming back online at reduced capacity. The reactor crisis had been averted. Weapons systems would take longer to repair, but the alien ships did not need to fight right now. They needed to survive and get home. Lisa Hayes looked up from her console. Captain, I am receiving a transmission from the Calrathi government, she said. They picked up the automated distress beacon. Morrison nodded. Patch it through to Commander Vexnall on his flagship. The aliens deserved to tell their own people that help had arrived. He watched on a secondary screen as relief flooded the Calrathi commander's features when his government made contact. Sometimes the smallest things made the biggest difference. 6 hours after the Valiant arrived, the crisis had transformed into steady progress and hope. Throughout the 5 damaged Calrathi ships, human and alien crews worked side by side with the initial wariness, giving way to respect. On the bridge of the flagship, Serenity's Edge Commander Vexenal watched his systems come back online one by one. Life support showed stable readings in green. Shields powered up to 30% capacity. The reactor purred with the steady rhythm of proper function. It seemed almost impossible after 3 days of watching everything fall apart. Your people are remarkable, Vexenal said to Commander Lisa Hayes, who had remained on the bridge coordinating the repair efforts. We were stranded and dying for days, and you arrive and begin fixing everything within hours. How is this possible? Lisa looked up from her datapad with a slight smile. We have had a lot of practice, she replied. Earth experienced many disasters before we reached space. Earthquakes destroyed cities and floods wiped out regions, and reactor failures threatened entire populations. We learned to be very good at fixing things quickly, or we did not survive as a species. Vexenal considered her words. Still, he said, this level of coordination between species who have never worked together before. Most races require weeks of cultural exchange and protocol discussions before attempting joint operations. Lisa's smile widened slightly. Human history is full of moments where strangers became allies in seconds, she explained. When lives hang in the balance, we are good at setting aside differences. We figure out the cultural details later after everyone is safe. A chime from the communications console interrupted their conversation. Commander Hayes, we are receiving a long-range transmission, Lisa's officer reported. It is from the Calrathi government on an official diplomatic channel. Vexnal moved to the console immediately. Patch it through, he ordered. A new face appeared on the screen showing another Calrathi with elaborate markings that indicated high rank in their society. This is Minister Caldan of the Diplomatic Corps, the official said. We received your automated emergency beacon. What is your status and do you require? The minister stopped speaking abruptly when he noticed Lisa standing beside Vexnal. Is that a human? He asked with clear surprise. Yes, Minister Vexnal replied quickly. This is Commander Lisa Hayes of the human vessel Valiant. They responded to our distress call and have been providing assistance. Their ship arrived when we had less than 12 hours of life support remaining. The minister's expression cycled through several emotions that Lisa could not quite identify. Finally, his features settled into something that looked like relief and satisfaction. Then you are in excellent hands, he said. The Galactic Council has been reviewing humanity's application for full membership status. Their response to distress calls has been noteworthy. Several species have submitted reports praising human assistance during emergencies. After the transmission ended, Lisa turned to Vexnal with curiosity showing on her face. Noteworthy, she asked. What does that mean exactly? The Calrathi commander's mandibles moved in the gesture his people used for smiling. 3 months ago, a human science vessel pulled a Draxian mining colony off an asteroid. Minutes before it collided with their home planet, he explained. Last month, human engineers helped restore a Telrathi space station after a meteor strike destroyed their primary systems. Your species has developed a reputation for appearing when help is needed most. Lisa felt warmth spread through her chest at the words. We try to be good neighbors, she said simply. That is all. Vexnal looked at her with his 4 eyes showing something like wonder. Most species calculate cost and benefit before rendering aid, he said. They negotiate terms and establish contracts. Humans simply help and worry about details later. This is unusual in galactic society. In the cargo bay of one transport ship, Dr. Kate Sullivan worked to stabilize a young Calrathi who had been badly injured during the initial attack. The juvenile lay on a medical bed while monitoring equipment beeped with concerning rhythms. The child's parent stood nearby with all 4 arms clasped together in obvious distress. Nurse Greg Palmer checked the readings and his expression showed worry. His internal pressure is dropping, he reported quietly. I am not sure how to compensate without knowing more about their physiology. A voice spoke up from behind them. You need to increase oxygen content in his breathing mixture by exactly 15%. Kate turned to see a Calrathi medical technician approaching with instruments ready. The alien continued speaking with confidence. Your human physiology shares similarities with ours in respiratory function. If you adjust the mixture and apply steady pressure to his secondary heart cluster, it should stabilize his vital signs. Kate did not waste time questioning or doubting. Show me exactly where, she said. Together, human and alien medical professionals worked in perfect coordination. The Calrathi technician guided Kate's hands to the correct pressure points, while Greg adjusted the oxygen mixture with precise measurements. Minutes passed with tension thick in the air. Then the monitoring equipment showed improvement. The juvenile's vital signs climbed back into safer ranges and his breathing steadied. The parent made a sound that needed no translation. Relief and gratitude poured out in words Kate could not understand but felt in her heart. Thank you, the parent said, switching to common speech. Thank you both so much. I thought I would lose my child today. Kate placed a gentle hand on the parent's shoulder in the universal gesture of comfort. He is strong, she said. He will make a full recovery with rest and proper care. The Calrathi medical technician looked at Kate with newfound respect in her large eyes. You trusted my knowledge without any hesitation, she said. Many species would have questioned my expertise or demanded verification. Kate met her gaze steadily. In medicine, ego and pride have no place, she replied. Knowledge is knowledge regardless of where it comes from. If you know how to save a life, I listen. That is what being a doctor means. Down in the engineering section, Sam Parker had gathered both human and Calrathi engineers around a holographic display of the damaged jump drive. All right, here's our main problem, he said, pointing to the fractured coils. Your jump drive took severe damage in the attack. We can get you to standard propulsion speeds, but without jump capability, you are looking at 3 months of travel to reach home. That is a long time to keep these patched systems running. A Calrathi engineer studied the hologram with practiced eyes. The jump coils are fractured in 17 places, he said. They require specialized manufacturing facilities to rebuild properly. We do not carry spare parts of this size and complexity on diplomatic missions. The other engineers nodded in agreement, looking defeated. Sam grinned suddenly. But the Valiant has spare coils, he announced. We can swap out our secondary jump system. It will reduce our own jump range by about 40%, but it will get you home in days instead of months. The Calrathi engineers stared at Sam in shock. You would give us critical components from your own vessel, one asked. Your ship would be crippled for long-range operations. Sam shrugged. That is what spare parts are for, he said. Besides, we are not in hostile territory. We can limp home on reduced jump capacity if we need to. You have civilians and injured people. You need full capability more than we do. The needs of the many outweigh the convenience of the few. The lead Calrathi engineer continued staring at Sam for a long moment. You humans are either incredibly foolish or remarkably noble, he finally said. I have not determined which yet. Sam laughed. Why not both, he replied. Now let us get those coils installed before something else breaks down. 10 hours into the repair operation brought an unexpected complication that changed everything. Lieutenant Amy Chen frowned at her sensor display on the Valiant's bridge before calling out with urgency in her voice. Captain Morrison, I'm detecting multiple contacts on long-range sensors, bearing 270 and closing fast on our position. Morrison straightened in his command chair immediately. What classification are we looking at, he asked. Amy worked her console, bringing up more detailed information. Signatures are consistent with Raider-class vessels, sir, she reported. 5 ships total. They are on a direct intercept course with the Calrathi fleet. Estimated time to contact is 18 minutes at their current speed. Morrison felt his jaw tighten. The raiders were coming back to claim their salvage and probably did not expect to find a human warship protecting it. On the bridge of Serenity's Edge, Commander Vexenal received the same alert from his repaired sensors. His tactical officer looked up with barely concealed fear on her features. Commander, it is the same raider group that attacked us before, she said. They must have been monitoring the area waiting for salvage opportunities. 5 ships against our damaged fleet. Vexenal felt cold dread settle in his stomach. His ships had no weapons and limited shields. They were helpless targets. Captain Morrison's face appeared on the view screen before Vexenal could issue orders. Commander Vexenal, I see them, he said calmly. Get your civilian ships to the center of your formation immediately. The Valiant will handle this situation. Vexenal stared at the human captain. Captain, with all respect, your ship is alone and they have 5 vessels. The odds are not in your favor. Morrison smiled, and the expression held no warmth or humor. Commander, my species did not claw our way to the stars by running from fights, he said. Besides, we have something those raiders do not have. Vexenal found himself asking the question. What is that, Captain? Morrison's smile turned cold and hard. We are really good at being angry when someone threatens people we are protecting. The UNS Valiant broke formation and positioned itself between the Calrathi fleet and the approaching raiders. On the bridge, Morrison's crew moved with the efficiency that came from countless drills and real combat experience. Shields to maximum power, he ordered. Charge all primary weapon systems, launch combat drones, and set them to defensive pattern alpha. Amy, what are we looking at for force composition? 3 Corvette-class raiders and 2 frigates, Sir, Amy reported. Combined firepower outguns us approximately 2-to-1 based on standard raider armament. Morrison nodded. Fair fight then, he said casually. Lisa Hayes looked at her captain with a mix of respect and concern. Sir, your definition of fair odds is deeply concerning, she said. Morrison chuckled. I am just keeping things interesting, Commander. Now hail those raiders and let us see if they are smart enough to leave. The view screen showed a scarred reptilian face with cruel eyes. The raider captain's expression twisted into something ugly when he saw the human. Human vessel, you should leave now, he said. Those damaged ships are our legitimate salvage. Depart immediately and we will not destroy you. Morrison leaned forward in his chair. I am going to give you one chance to turn those ships around, he replied. These vessels are under human protection now. Leave peacefully or we will make you leave. The choice is yours. The raider captain laughed with a harsh sound. 1 human ship against 5 raiders, he said. Your bravery is admirable, but your judgment is terrible. You will die with your new alien friends." Morrison's expression did not change. "Last warning," he said quietly. "Turn around now." The raider captain snarled and cut the transmission. Morrison nodded to his tactical officer. "Kyle, light them up," he ordered. What happened next would be analyzed in military academies and tactical schools for years to come. The Valiant accelerated forward with speed that shocked the raider formation. The human warship moved like a predator that had spotted prey. Combat drones swarmed out from launch bays like angry insects, and their weapon systems linked to the main ship's targeting computers for coordinated attacks. The first raider corvette died before its shields could reach full power. A focused particle beam from the Valiant's main cannon cut through the hull like paper. The ship split apart in the explosion of atmosphere and debris. The second corvette tried to evade, but the combat drones swarmed it. Dozens of small explosions peppered its hull until the engines failed and the ship began tumbling through space without control. The remaining 3 raiders spread out, trying to use their numbers advantage to flank the human vessel. But Morrison had fought in combat before and knew every tactical trick. The Valiant rolled and twisted through space with impossible grace for a ship its size. Human engineering had built a warship that could absorb punishment and keep fighting. Human tactical doctrine emphasized speed and surprise and overwhelming firepower at critical moments. "Direct hit on Raider Frigate 1, Kyle reported. Their forward shields are completely down." Morrison did not hesitate. "Follow up with missile barrage," he ordered. "Amy, watch that corvette trying to get behind us." "Already tracking him," Captain Amy replied. "Drones are moving to engage." The Valiant's point defense systems lit up space as incoming fire from the raiders met walls of defensive fire. Some shots got through and shook the ship, but the shields held. Aboard the Serenity's Edge, Vexnal and his crew watched in amazement as the single human warship systematically destroyed the raider force. The Valiant moved with purpose and deadly efficiency. Every action flowed into the next like a carefully choreographed dance of destruction. "Their tactical doctrine is incredible," the Calrathi tactical officer breathed. "They are using their drones as both offensive weapons and defensive shields. The drones cycle positions to absorb incoming fire while the main ship maneuvers for killing shots. And their weapons," Vexenal added, watching another raider take critical damage. "They are not trying to disable the raiders or force surrender. They are trying to destroy them completely. This is not the behavior of a peaceful exploration vessel. This is a warship doing what it was designed to do." The Calrathi commander felt a chill run through him. Humans could be kind and helpful, but they could also be terrifyingly effective warriors when needed. 20 minutes after the battle began, it was over. 2 raider ships were destroyed completely with no survivors. 2 more drifted as crippled wrecks with life support failing. The 5th raider had managed to activate its jump drive and flee into deep space, trailing atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. The Valiant held position between the wrecks and the Calrathi fleet with weapons still charged and shields still raised. Morrison opened a channel to the Calrathi flagship. "Commander, Vexnal threat has been neutralized," he said. "Are your ships undamaged? Did any raider fire reach you?" Vexnal took a moment to find his voice. "We are completely unharmed, Captain Morrison," he replied. "Your ship absorbed all incoming fire. Your crew and your vessel, that was extraordinary. I have never seen such combat effectiveness from a single ship." Morrison shrugged as if the battle had been routine. "We protect our friends, Commander," he said simply. "Now let us finish those repairs and get your people home safely." The casual way he dismissed the victory made Vexnal realize something important. This was normal for humans. When they committed to protecting someone, they did it completely without hesitation or restraint. The galaxy had no idea what kind of ally it was gaining. 18 hours after the Valiant arrived, marked the completion of all critical repairs. The Calrathi fleet systems showed stable readings across all 5 ships. Jump drives were operational thanks to the human spare parts. All wounded had been treated and were recovering. Throughout the vessels, humans and Calrathi prepared to part ways with mixed feelings. The crisis had forged bonds that none of them expected. In the transport ship's medical bay, Dr. Kate Sullivan made final checks on her patients. The young Calrathi juvenile she had saved approached with his parent walking beside him. The child moved carefully, but his eyes were bright and alert. "Dr. Sullivan," the parent said formally, "we wish to express our deepest gratitude. You saved our child's life when we thought all hope was lost. We will never forget what you did." Kate knelt down to the juvenile's level and smiled warmly. You need to be more careful from now on, she said gently. No more getting hurt, all right? Promise me. The young Calrathi nodded seriously. I promise, Dr. Sullivan, he said. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor like you. I want to help people the way you helped me. Kate felt tears sting her eyes, but she blinked them away. That is a wonderful dream, she replied. Work hard, and I know you will achieve it. In the engineering spaces, Sam Parker shook hands with the Calrathi engineers in the human style. They had learned the gesture during their hours working together. Remember, those jump coils need calibrating every 50 operational hours until you can get proper replacements, Sam reminded them. And do not push them past 80% capacity, or you will burn them out. Safety margins exist for good reasons. The lead Calrathi engineer nodded seriously. We will follow your instructions exactly, Lieutenant Parker, he said, and we will remember what your people did for us. You gave us components that limit your own ship's capabilities. This is generosity beyond measure. Sam grinned and waved off the thanks. That is what neighbors do for each other, he said. Besides, we are heading back toward human space. You have a much longer journey ahead. You need full jump capability more than we do right now. On the bridge of Serenity's Edge, Captain Jack Morrison stood beside Commander Vexnall. The Calrathi commander looked healthier now, with color returned to his skin and confidence restored to his bearing. Captain Morrison, I have transmitted a complete report to my government, he said. They wish to extend an official invitation for you and your crew to visit our homeworld as honored guests. You will be welcomed with the highest honors we can bestow. Morrison smiled at the offer. We would be honored to visit, Commander, he replied, though it might be a while before we can accept. We need to get our own ship back to port for those replacement parts we gave you, but we will definitely take you up on that invitation when we can. Vexnall's mandibles clicked in the gesture Morrison now recognized as amusement. Perhaps the delay is fitting, he said. You helped us when we were strangers in desperate need, expecting nothing in return. That is the mark of a truly advanced civilization. We just did what was right, Morrison said simply. Vexnall looked at the human captain with his 4 eyes showing deep respect. No, Captain Morrison, you did what was human, he replied, and I am beginning to think the galaxy will be better for having your species in it. The two commanders gripped hands in a gesture that transcended species differences. It was a symbol of respect and friendship forged through shared crisis and mutual trust. As the Calrathi fleet prepared to jump, Lisa Hayes stood beside Morrison on the Valiant's bridge. You know, this is going to cause quite a stir back home, she said quietly. We gave away critical spare parts without authorization. We engaged in combat with raiders without clearance from command. We committed to future diplomatic visits. The paperwork alone will be impressive. Morrison smiled and did not look concerned. Yes, we probably earned both a commendation and a reprimand, he agreed. Worth it, though. Absolutely worth it. The view screen showed the 5 Calrathi ships glowing with restored power. Running lights traced their hulls and engines burned bright with energy. Vexnall's face appeared one final time on the display. Captain Morrison, Commander Hayes, Lieutenant Parker, Dr. Sullivan, and all the brave crew of the Valiant, he said. You have our eternal gratitude. Your names will be remembered in our history. May your journey home be safe. May we meet again as allies and true friends. Safe travels, Commander Vexnall, Morrison replied. Take care of your people and give our best to your government. The channel closed. Moments later, space rippled as the Calrathi fleet engaged their jump drives. The 5 ships vanished from sensors, heading home at speeds that would have been impossible hours before. Morrison stood and stretched tired muscles. All right, people, let us set course for home, he ordered. We have some very interesting reports to file with Fleet Command. Amy Chen spoke up from her sensor station. Captain, I am receiving a priority transmission from Earth, he said. It is marked urgent and coded for your eyes only. Morrison raised an eyebrow. That was fast, he said. Put it through to my ready room. He walked to the small office off the bridge and sat down. The screen activated, showing Admiral Paul Grant's weathered face. The Admiral looked tired but pleased. Captain Morrison, I have been monitoring your situation, the Admiral said. Hell of a job out there, son. You and your crew represented humanity exactly the way we hoped. Morrison felt relief. He had worried that his decisions might be seen as overstepping authority. Thank you, sir, he replied. We did what was necessary to save lives and protect people who needed help. I stand by those decisions, the Admiral nodded. I agree completely, which is why I am not calling to reprimand you, he said. I am calling to inform you that the Galactic Council just fast-tracked humanity's application for full membership. Apparently word travels very fast in diplomatic circles. 4 different species have already contacted us requesting mutual defense treaties. They want humanity as an ally. Morrison sat back in his chair, stunned by the news. The Council specifically cited your actions as evidence of humanity's commitment to galactic community welfare, the Admiral continued. They are calling it the Valiant Incident. News services are already running stories. You and your crew just changed the course of human history, Captain. Congratulations. After the transmission ended, Morrison sat quietly processing the information. His crew had simply done their jobs and tried to help people in need. The idea that it had larger implications felt strange. He returned to the bridge where Lisa Hayes waited. "Everything all right, sir?" she asked. Morrison nodded slowly. "We just made humanity full members of the Galactic Council, apparently," he said. "Our actions here convinced them we are ready." Lisa smiled. "We showed them who we are," she said. "When someone needs help, we do not calculate costs or check if they can pay us back. We just help because it is the right thing to do." Morrison nodded. "That is not just human, Commander," he replied. "That is the best of what any species can aspire to be." The Valiant adjusted course and engaged its jump drive at reduced capacity. The ship headed toward human space, carrying a crew that had done something meaningful. They had answered a call for help from strangers. They had worked alongside aliens as equals. They had fought to protect people who could not protect themselves. They had shown the galaxy what humanity could offer beyond military strength or economic power: compassion, courage, the simple willingness to help someone in need regardless of species or benefit. As stars streaked past the viewscreen, Morrison allowed himself a moment of pride. Earth had sent explorers into space to find new worlds and new knowledge. But perhaps the most important thing they brought was something simpler. The certainty that nobody should face disaster alone. That when crisis strikes, someone will answer the call. That in the vast cold expanse of space, kindness and compassion still matter. The Valiant sailed onward, carrying its crew toward home and toward a future where humanity would be known not just as warriors or explorers, but as the species that would cross any distance to help a stranger in need, because that is what humans do when it matters most.